climate change, which is now a universal phenomenon, has eaten deep into the agricultural sector, and particularly in Nigeria we know that there are cases of flood, there are cases of annually a large scale reduction in the arability of our land, in fertility of the soil, in the outputs of farm products and so on.
With changes in rainfall pattern, droughts and floods, the impact of climate change has taken a heavy toll on agricultural yields.
In the past, the farmers, they are ignorant of most of the problem of climate change. They were carrying out their agric activities the way they were doing it in the past. Their parents were doing it. They never knew that the effect of climate change is now has forced them to really see in line with the fact that if something is not done, they will not achieve what they are trying to do in their agricultural activities.
Tunda dai noman namu mu ce buhu 15 ba, buhu 20. To me iyalai guda 10, kaga buhu 20 da ƙyar zai kai mai shekara.
Zan zo shuka masara nan in na ga dama sai in zuba 3, 4, 5 in tafiya na, in tattake su in suka tsira in ci gaba da noma. In na zo zuba taki sai in ga goyon nasu bai kai ba.
With this major threat from climate change looming over the farmers and their yields, something had to be done to curb this menace.
Tubali Development Initiative is an NGO. So we took it upon ourselves to say that we had this initial idea to walk into this rural population and see how best we can engage the people through their means of livelihood to improve on their well-being, their income, and essentially food security. So that was the idea for the project initially, and so the project was around climate change and food security.
With support from the Heinrich Böll Foundation, the climate change and food security projects involved researchers that tried to find information on improved farming methods that will withstand the adverse effect of climate change. Information that will later be passed down to the farmers.
So we had the Institute of Agric Research in ABU. We wrote to them, told them about ourselves and what we wanted to do, and we wanted them to be part of that research. So with that, IAR bought into it and gave us somebody to work with, Professor Tanko, for the research. So on the basis of this, the study, on the basis of the findings from this study, certain recommendations were made, and that there was a need for us to modernize their farming practice in terms of improved seedlings that adapt to the new situation of their environment, in terms of even the method of the farming itself.
To amma yanzu a dokan a yanda muka haɗu da su duk shekara sai sun kawo mana sabon iri. Bana muka ce to duk da sun kawo mana sabo sai muka ce to sabon bari mu raba mu 'yan kungiya kowa ya amfana. Sanda ma da so ya zo mana da shi ya ce ga yana wannan mu je da gonakan kungiya da mu rarraba mu jama'a sai muka rarraba mu kowa ya amfana. Sai muka ɗauko irin mu na bara wanda muke cewa da Hausa bajawara, sai muka zo muka shuka ta. Muka ce ita ma mu ga yanda kamun ludayin ta yake. To amma ga dukkan alamu dai kaga gonar masara. Kai kanka a nan in aka karya maka goyo ɗaya ka je ka gasa, kila ma ba zai cinye maka sai ka dan ma wani.
Sun nuna mana ga lokacin da suka ba mu iri, sun nuna mana ga yanda zamu noma, ga yanda zamu gyara, ga yanda zamu yi domin mu samu kwakwalan ci gaba ga wannan abu da suka nuna mana.
The project also saw the bridging of the communication network gaps between research institutes, agricultural extension services, and the farmers.
There was a communication now between the farmers directly with the extension worker, which they didn't necessarily need to bring in Tubali, but we had facilitated the initial coming together. And then because they had seen what these people could do, so they would communicate with them directly.
And I got to know of this community through Tubali Development Initiative. So we've never known of this community. They don't have access to KADP. They don't used to have fertilizer. So their practice was just barely like that. They don't use fertilizer. They don't even know how to where to get fertilizer.
There was now communication, you know, between them. They will now go to KADP, for instance, or EADP, ask for pesticides, call on the person, the contact person, to come and look at their farm, to come and describe the diseases and tell them what to do and how to do it.
Although the project seemed to have recorded significant success, it was still met with stiff challenges.
Change, we realize that change is very difficult. It's a habit. These are very traditional people who are used to certain ways of doing things, and oftentimes they will tell you that these are ways that they inherited from their parents, their grandparents. This is what they saw them doing, and so they know nothing new. And they are, even from the little yield, even as they acknowledge that the yield is decreasing by the year, sometimes people are very fatalistic. They attribute it to the nature of God. At some point we decided to work on a model farm. So in order to now say that, look, there are ways, even your farming method is different, the way you planting is not necessarily it, there are different ways. We requested that give us a farm, donate for us a farmland. We don't want to take over your land, we don't want to be the farmers, but we want to demonstrate to you an alternative way of doing what you know how to do best, a different way of doing it. And then let us all take the risk. If you give us the farm, it is our own, but at the end of the day, in terms of testing, but whatever comes out of it, if it comes out positive, it is all yours, not ours. That model farm practically was the main thing of teaching them, you know, an alternative way of what they do. For instance, they were taught about spacing in between planting, you know, how were they doing it before we came in, what is the best method of doing it. These things were taught to them. How to also apply fertilizer. Before then, I remember very well, the farmers will tell us how they would apply their own fertilizer right there, maybe on top of the plant, and or just scatter it around. But the extension worker told them, no, you had not been doing it rightly. You will not get the maximum benefit from this way. This method you are using. Here, because of the Islamic, you know, culture and their understanding and practice of the Islamic culture and the tradition, of course, the women mostly don't farm. They don't own farmlands. They don't farm. The best they do with respect to agriculture is to help their male relatives, either husbands or fathers, in the area of harvesting, and of course in the area of also preparing the seedlings for the markets, but they don't farm.
Mu da kanmu ko mazan mu gaskiya mu ba mu zuwa aiki a gona.
And the challenge for us is how to even bring these women in the areas where they are not farming, how to bring them out and introduce them to farming. It's been a big challenge. But one of the other things we tried to do was that, okay, they may not, agriculture is broad. The women might not necessarily participate directly in terms of ownership of farmland, but then there are other things that they may do. They could do cattle rearing. So one of the things we have encouraged them to do is, we find that in most of the households, wherever you find some goats, wherever you find some ram and all that, it is the women that own them. And so we try to encourage them to multiply this, you know, keep it as a source of income. It's also all within the context of agriculture. So that part is where we encourage the women and we try to help them to improve on that bit.
Shine dan keken ɗinkin da aka kawo mana in mun ɗan yi sana'a muke ɗan taimaka ma mazanmu.
Jero ga sunan dai wanda ke ni a matsayina na manomi in na ce zan lissafa maka irin abubuwan da muke amfani da shi sai mu ɗauki wani lokaci ba mu gama ba.
Tumatir nan ka gani an shuka ta yau kwata-kwata dudu ba ta wuce sati 3 ba, kaga ta fara ba da iri. Jin daɗi ne ba ɗan ƙanƙani ba, muna jin daɗi ba ɗan ƙanƙani ba wallahi.
Kaga an samu karuwa.
A da kuma kaman buhu nawa ake samu?
Buhu 30 ne, 20, 25. Yanzu da muka samu wani irin muka shuka sai muka yi buhu 40.
Allah ke faɗa haka ba ni nake faɗa ba, da ni nake faɗa haka da sai